Testing. 1, 2. Check, check, check. So I got everything turned down a little tiny bit, so hopefully there's no squealing. I got a squeaky voice, so it's going to be hard to say. Squeak! 6 of the biggest institutions on the planet, vindicating everything you've ever said. And so they knew then. And so there can be no excuses. And I spent the entire day on the New York Times, because I'm going to drop them on their head real soon too. But not tonight. Tonight we're in nuclear Earth. It's my own language. I'm going to make up my own language. Like the nuclear industry did. Hi Kate, Miss Milky, Red Button Studio, Missing Sky 101. I just want to make sure I mention those because they're working so friggin' hard. Many people are out there working hard, including Kate. And you'll find links to everybody below. You'll find links in the comment section. And just because I don't mention your name in that context and you're out there working, you know, I can't possibly cover everybody. That's why I have so many people down below. I tried. And there's just so many people out there shoving back now, pushing back against this hideous alien on our planet. It doesn't exist anywhere else in the universe. The nuclear issue is the most important issue of all life on this planet, particularly the ones that don't speak and walk around on 4 legs and 6 legs and 20 legs and flies and everything else. The non-human species on this planet, which is around 8 million, right? They don't got a voice. They don't got a voice when it comes to Fukushima. They don't got a voice when it comes to the nuclear war that has been waged now for 70 years upon this planet. Yeah, I did so, Miss Milky. I spent a lot of time. And I wasn't supposed to do what I done in the last couple of days. I was saving this for a big, you know, documentary. And I realized the importance of it was too important. And I better get it out there. And that's why the last couple of days went the way they did. No live stream, because I had to get that out there just to please myself. Because I got so many of the other institutions that I haven't touched, that I've touched, but I haven't like got up on my site, like Yale, Oxford. I got Harvard up, Stanford, some Stanford. I haven't got, by no means or shapes or forms, just a tiny fraction of the stuff that I'll be putting up about, right, in the last couple of days. That's a tiny fraction of what I got on those institutions. Harvard, Berkeley, Stanford, and what else was it? MIT. And then you got C-SPAN, the White House. It's just quite the witch's brew of lies and manipulations. But in there is the kernels of truth. And so you got to choppa, and then put the story together. Because otherwise you got all the him and han. Yeah, Red Button Studio. Hey everybody, Stacey Anderson is here. We got, and you'll find links below, Paul, and in the comments section. If you're watching this later, there's also Thomas Ackerman's down below. Kevin Blanche is down below. Nuber Magic 2012 is down below. Rad Chick, you know, is down below. Who everybody's got to push her out there. She has done so much to get this out there, and she's perfectly in the right position. Right? She's got her way up to that elevation now where she's in a position where she could set off a little firestorm. We're far from that position yet. But she's already has maneuvered herself, you know, through education, through academics and everything else, and through her history, and then through the last number of years through her dedication, she has maneuvered herself into a position. Last couple of weeks, hardcore, picking up some major slack. Looks like I got booted. Well, it says I got booted there, but I'll hang on a second, have a little slurp of tea, and we'll start kicking. Yeah, I can see the comments are all screwed up here. Hang on. Yeah, I'm kicked off here too. Was my dog lying on the shit? Oops. Let's find out what happened here. See if I'm still streaming. Anyway, if we are, we'll start right away. We'll jump right into the video. Blah, blah, blah. I'll check the comment. Buffering freeze indeed. Soda King, Rad Chick, Sofa King, Sofa. Hi Sean. Okay, we're still going. Let's go then. Let's hit her. Let's go for broke here. Gone. Technical brain farts. The comments not. I'll hang on a second. Make sure the comments start moving. I'll refresh the page. I think my dog sat on the router because I got everything plugged in to try to make it stream a lot better for everybody. Yeah, let me read one more time. We're ready to go. Okay. I'll open up the folder while I'm waiting. Yeah, so I was back online. There you go. Okay, here we go. I reloaded. Everybody else reloaded. And let's go for broke here. Now, so just let's do a recap on the nuclear accidents. And I'll put mention at the beginning of the video after for people to jump ahead. There's around 2,500 nuclear tests on this planet. That's China, India, Pakistan, Israel, America. And each one of these nuclear tests is releasing radioactive material, massive amounts of radioactive material. And they blow up a bomb, say, right, when they're doing atmospheric tests or just tests on land or tests on Bikini Island or the atolls for the Americans. And that radioactive fallout is a huge plume of extremely radioactive material and particles. The particles that are sucked up, all that dust and debris, right, that you see, that's radioactive particles. And so think about you got a gram of uranium 238, ionized uranium 238. Now that little creature has 1,000,000 watts, and that's around 3,000 watt heaters. So imagine if you're in a building, a small or a big room, decent room with a 3,000 watt heater. Even if it's cold out, that room is going to get friggin' hot. And imagine if there's another 332 of those heaters in that same room and no doors and no windows. Well, a gram of uranium can run that for a very long time if you know how to extract it. That's pretty amazing. Now for the chain reaction, that gets depleted in a short while, that gram. And so that's why you have to spend fuel pools. Because you need a really high enrichment to make this creature work, this nuclear industry work. And for many years, there's been a lot of accidents. Now, one of the interesting things about this was we've all heard the stories of aliens mutating cows. And everybody's like, what the frick is up with the cows? Why are the aliens probing the cows? What the frick did the cow ever do to the alien? And of course, a cow is a dumb animal, literally in the senses of it doesn't know better to run away from a human in that sense. And scientists in nuclear power plants, this is what they do. They go out to the farmers at night time and they kill their animals and they take the organs and stuff like that because there was a release and they wanted to find out how bad the release was. And so for many years, that has been portrayed in the media as cuckoo because people says, oh, the aliens came down and mutated our cows, right? The aliens. And so then all the media runs with that story and nobody bothers mentioning the word that nuclear power plant down there had a little leak or a big leak. And so they wanted to get the organs of the animals to find out what kind of dose and release into the community. And also, you know, during the 50s and the 60s in particular, your loving government was at your hospitals. And I know one hospital in particular, with the big institutions like MIT and Stanford behind them, were injecting pregnant women radioactive cesium, man-made. And now cesium is a man-made radioactive isotope. And the stuff from the nuclear explosion is completely different than the stuff from the melted cores at Fukushima, which is what we generally cover extensively, verbatim, because it's such an important and vital conversation. But there's another part to this equation where people don't quite understand the actual, how truly evil the industry really, and hideous and monstrous this industry actually is. Radioactive material. But in a sense, it is radioactive material, and there could be 7,500 becquerels, disintegrations per second, and the disintegrations are going to go by 1/10,000th of a millimeter, and then they disappear, they evaporate into fairy dust, literally, let's put it that way. They're so insignificant, regardless. They're fairy dust, because we're acclimated throughout history. And I know I'm wasting time here now because we're still trying to get into the... Let me jump. But it's important that you understand that if you drank 7,500 becquerels of potassium-40 in a glass of water, you would off-gas that. If you ate an apple with potassium-40, you off-gas the exact same amount because your body regulates it. It's called homeostasis. And it regulates your body kind of like a thermostat regulates your house, and just to finish it up, or a cruise control regulates the speed on your car. Well, your body regulates potassium-40. So you know you're listening to a lawyer and a manipulator when they throw a banana into the equation of man-made ionized radioactive atoms and particles and isotopes, which is, there's 3,100 isotopes now. 260 of them are natural. They're throughout the universe. The rest of them are man-made and don't exist anywhere else in the universe. Let me jump back again. And we talk about quite a bit in Nuclear Earth 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Not so much in the last couple, but we talked about a lot about human experiments. Well, this whole planet right now has been going under a constant experiment. And the nuclear industry, when it does experiments on humans, I don't know why you wouldn't be receiving data from my encoder. And I got kicked off on this computer too. Don't want me chatting. This is terrible. I'm getting kicked off again. I don't know. Everything looking good. Let's keep going. I'll check. I'll come back over and check because I'm just going to jump into 2000. We're starting at 2001 tonight. And I got kicked off, so I'm just going to be cautious and hang on for a second, make sure I'm still there before I start talking again. And if you're listening to me, my cigarette does not have 4,000 chemicals, and it doesn't have a filter. The filter makes the particles smaller. Hang on. Yeah, here we go. We're going. And I'll just turn off the volume here. Yeah, it's kind of unusual because I have a big red banner will come across my screens if the connection is broken. But I'm Canadian. I have a very privileged. We have a huge stream. Yeah, Stacy, that was me freezing, I think, because I got kicked off here. So I'll jump back in. Looks like we're going again. Okay, here we go. And my cigarettes don't have chemicals. That's pretty cool. 4,000 chemicals. Anyway, here we go. And we'll just jump that off. That's twice I got kicked off. Not liking it. So 2000. And well, the last one I covered was 1979. Some of the animals' livers were found to be completely devoid of copper and contained 4 times the normal levels of zinc, potassium, and phosphorus. The scientists performing the analysis were unable to explain these abnormalities. The animals' hearts, as well as bones and muscle samples, kind of lost context on that. And just before we got cut off, I was talking about Dr. Raymond Gilmedy. For 3 decades, he's been murdering beagles and beagle puppies by getting them to inhale a very tiny percentage of plutonium-239, 240. And then they do autopsies on them. A lot of times they'll let the dogs die of the cancer. They won't get any kind of anesthetics because they don't want to interfere with the test. They have other laboratories testing Rottweilers and other laboratories testing unicorns and you name it. They kill animals nonstop for the last 70 years by making them inhale and injecting them. They also done this to humans nonstop. They're still doing it in some countries, you can be sure. Every country does this. The nuclear industry has been used to do nothing but destroy. In order for a boiling water reactor, which is most of all of the reactors on the planet, they boil 1 million gallons a minute. And you say, well, what's the big friggin' deal? Well, it kills all the creatures in the water. Like in a glass of salt water, there's say 1 billion creatures. 100 million of them are phytoplankton. They are the basis of the food chain and the basis of the oxygen. And if you kill all of that by boiling all the water, 1 million gallons a minute, just wrap your mind around that. 1 million gallons a minute to cool these things down. But let me jump. But anyway, they would get all these animals from around the nuclear power plants over the years, and mutilate them on purpose, and then get the media to put out a rumor of UFOs, and then everybody would flock, and there'd be all the chatter and talk, and you couldn't have a conversation with anybody. Say, hey, you don't suppose one of the nuclear power plants had it released to you? They said, no, it was UFOs. And they were at that nonstop, and you've all heard those stories of mutilated animals, cows in particular, just to get you started. Well, that was your friendly government stealing your local farmers' animals and mutating them to get their organs, and then starting rumors up and hushing these people up. Just a horrible industry. Everything about it is horrible. Boiling all the water on the planet, killing all the creatures in your water. That's amazing, because the ocean was a super life. I'll cover that at the end maybe. August 2000, March to 2001, 17 patients receiving treatment for prostate cancer and cancer of the cervix received lethal doses of radiation because they had them calibrated wrong. Right? So, they treat people who got cancer from ionized radiation with ionized radiation. It's the stupidest thing imaginable. And so when you do that to somebody anyway, even though they got this thing calibrated at really low, you're trying to kill all the cells in the body. My apologies. My heart goes out to anybody. And we've all had, loved ones and family members who suffered by this deception. And that's exactly what it is. The studies have shown that treating somebody with radiation does not extend their life. Treating people with leukemia with chemotherapy does not extend their life. A very, very tiny percentage of people have a track record where they survived and they lived a lot longer. But that wasn't because of the chemotherapy. That wasn't because of the radiation therapy. That was because they were genetically predispositioned in your body, right? From the testing, from the nuclear releases, from living in a community where the nuclear power plants are hemorrhaging into your community. 120,000 liters a day boils out of a fuel pool. And if you got a nuclear power plant, most of them got fuel pools. And they're boiling out all that radioactive material, evaporating. You can't see it or smell it or see it or hear it or feel it or taste it or touch it or pick it up or throw it around or walk on it or kick it, play with it, make Play-Doh out of it or nothing, because it's invisible. But if you could see it coming out, from a local community, you wouldn't probably be able to see the other side of your community as it's coming out of a nuclear power plant if you could actually see it. 120,000 liters boiling off a day that we know about. They release it into your community all the time. But anyway, I'll just finish that one off. Down in Panama, they didn't calibrate the machine right and it kills people. Think about that one. Early in 2001, serious accidental exposures involving patients undergoing radiotherapeutic procedures were discovered in Panama. Right? There was a lot of people that died before they discovered it. But and the IAEA is very grateful to the government of Panama for giving it the opportunity to assist in the aftermath of the accidental exposure described in that report that I'm not going to sit here and read to you because it's too long and I spent too much time fooling around. So let's jump to 21st of January 2002. France. Control systems and safety valves fail after improper installation of condensers, forcing a 2-month shutdown at a nuclear power plant. And this This is something that we hear about all the time, is these accidents. And there's people get exposed at all of these accidents. 2002 in India, 22nd of October, 100 kilograms of radioactive sodium at a fast breeder reactor leaked into a purification cabin, ruining a number of valves and operating system. Well, if it leaked in anywhere, then it contaminated that area. And the only way to fix it is like Fukushima, where they're sending in the homeless. And once again, you think of Chernobyl, where they ran out on the roof for 15 seconds and threw a piece of graphite from the explosion off the roof, and then they ran home. Never went on a nuclear site again. So 15 seconds, the next guy was out 15 seconds, he went home. Next guy's out 15 seconds, he went home. And they actually done that in groups of 10. And their job was to run out, pick up a little piece with a tiny shovel, run to the edge of the roof and throw it over the roof. 15, 20 seconds. A week later, they got more of it cleared out. You can spend 20, 30 seconds. A week later, they got a lot more of it cleared off the roof. And you can, but these people were running over 10 and 12,000 Rankins. 500 would kill you, Roentgens. 500 would kill you. You'll die 2 weeks later. Now, these kind of exposures, you die a year later. Think about all the helicopter pilots who flew over Chernobyl. Well, they all died, right? And we got a clip from last night. I got the whole video below it, but I put a clip up last night of MIT talking about that, right? And you know all the pilots at Chernobyl died, right? But you'll hear people, the apologists in the industry out there saying, nobody died at Chernobyl. You know, there was some accident, people died years later, but I mean, nobody died right away. And they say the same thing about Fukushima. Well, in Fukushima, there were 7 people died on one street, on a shopping street. Not at the one time, but at different times in the last couple of years since Fukushima. 7 people. Would you feel comfortable, say you flew down to Japan and they said they're going to take it down the street, and by the way, there's 7 people died on this street from radiation exposure. Would you be like, yeah, let's go down and check it out? No, you'd be like, well, I could do without a trip to that little spot, thank you. I wouldn't go to Japan. Japan is completely covered from one end to the other end with 300,000 becquerels to 1,000,000 becquerels of high radiation, ionized alphas, betas. They're not even checking for most of the other. They're only checking for cesium. You know, there's 30 times more strontium where you see cesium. You hear about all the iodine that struck America and Canada after Fukushima. Well, that don't travel alone. That don't travel alone. Where's all the fuel pools? They ionized. A gram of uranium-238. Most of the fuel rods were uranium-238. There's hundreds of thousands of them missing. And a gram of them, just a single gram of them, produces more radioactive atoms than all the grains of sand on all the beaches on the planet. So what's hundreds of thousands of rods that are 12 foot long? Snowstorms, perpetual snowstorms of invisible radioactive material. It's different than the nuclear testing. Let's keep going. 2002, Onagawa, Japan. 2 workers were exposed to a small amount of radiation. It's always a tiny amount of radiation. And suffered minor burns during a fire. February 2002, severe corrosion of control rod forces a 24-month outage at Davis-Besse reactor, Idaho, USA. How much was released into the community? When you think about the bomb testing, the detonations where they've done 40 a year, say, in Alaska, we've covered that in the nuclear earth, and they were doing 40 or 50 a year in Nevada. Well, each one of those bombs was a massive amount of radiation released for 1,000 miles that day, and the next day and the day after. And this gets picked back up through storms, rain. It gets washed down the rivers. It gets into it radiates your water facilities, your pump houses in your community are probably extremely radiated because they're funneling all the water from a vector. And the radiation, of course, is cumulative. And we've seen helicopter engines from the USS Ronald Reagan. They had to take 12 helicopter engines out. 12. Radchick, I think that link is still below this video, of Radchick interviewing the sailors It was like an hour and 20 minutes or something. Really good interview. And Christina Consolo. And that's what he's talking about. He's talking about they had to take all these engines out because they were irradiated. And you can't pour battery, acid over it and decontaminate it. You can't stick it in 3,000 and 4,000 degree temperatures and decontaminate it. You're liberating the radioactive materials back into the environment. If you die, and you have radioactive, and you probably do at this stage, unless you're living underground for a long time, from Fukushima, well, when they cremate you, you'll liberate those radioactive materials from your body. That's how twisted this is. Even if you, like you say, if this cigarette had radioactive atoms and particles of cesium in there, and I poured battery acid over it, you would release them. This is how scary this stuff is. It doesn't exist in our universe. It shouldn't be allowed to escape the planet Earth. How can you stop it when there was so much released? Let me keep going into the atmosphere. But what we're showing on nuclear Earth was how many major accidents the nuclear industry has all the time. They downplay every single one of them. They equate them with something that's homeostasis, like a banana or drinking water or walking in the sunshine, or the natural uranium that's in the ocean with ionized man-made chain reaction. And when you do that to the elements, they're millions of times worse than what they were. And once again, Chernobyl was a 30% meltdown. Chernobyl was 1/3 the size of the reactors at Fukushima. 3 of the reactors at Fukushima, 100% meltdowns. The fuel pool at number 4, 100% meltdown. Think about the reactors had fuel pools. They're missing or melted. All of them. Just on that scale alone, many times larger. And MOX fuel, that was mentioned many times on the 15th, 16th, 17th, and even the 21st of March through the major institutions and medias. And MOX fuel at Unit 3, that was a big concern. They kept coming out and saying on the 15th, 16th, 17th of March 2011 that there was smoke or fire coming out of the Unit 3. Well, Unit 3 is missing. It's friggin' missing. And then they spend the rest of the time talking about how dangerous the MOX fuel is. MOX fuel and MOX and stuff like this. But at the same time, they're showing you pictures and the building is friggin' missing. It's missing. It's like someone chopped it off and ran away with it. And what happened was the actual core itself of MOX fuel, which is like 2 million times worse, according to the medias and the academic world, 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. That would make just MOX fuel alone, it's 3 times bigger than Chernobyl. That would make it, because it's 2 million times worse, 19, because Chernobyl was 30%. 19, it was a different fuel anyway. MOX is a totally different ball game again. The old fuel is what I'm talking about being a different fuel from Chernobyl. 3,500 square kilometers evacuated permanently. But radiation is not dangerous. Let me keep going. Reactor 6, Bruce County, Ontario, Canada. Woo! Canada scores another one. Pressure tube and tube failure made it necessary to shut down a reactor. June 11, 2002, Reactor 6. Canada's got 25, 26, 27 nuclear reactors. Most of them in Ontario. Central Ontario. If one of them has a frig up, we're done. It'll release it right into Lake Ontario, Lake Huron, Lake Superior, St. Lawrence will wash it all down. If everything flows to the Atlantic, on the other side of the Atlantic, you got Sellafield, England, UK rather, 8 million liters a day hemorrhaging into the ocean over there. 8 million liters a day from that MOX production facility that's friggin' abandoned right now, except for the throwaways they got staying there. I call them throwaways because they all die of cancer. They have to liquidate their assets like you will. If you don't get your ass in gear and do something, everybody's going to have to liquidate their assets to stay alive. There was a study just come out on the GMO in India, and someone funded a study to go knocking on the doors of the farmers and ask them why they thought their loved ones committed suicide, and they all blame GMO. 95 out of 100 blame GMO. But that was an accident, yeah, right? And most of these people, they drank the pesticides to kill themselves. One of the most hideous ways you could possibly die. Let me keep going. Like, it's just these handful of corporations, all nuclear power plants, military industrial complexes, directed energy weapon production facilities, are privately insured and then massively funded by the taxpayers. Because you can never decommission a nuclear power plant. You can never remediate the land or the communities or the carnage or the homes. You would have to buy up all the homes and all the communities for 1,000 miles around a nuclear power plant to really, you have to take up all the topsoil. We've done some wicked stuff. I'm up to June 2001. Let me step back to 2000 or June 2002. Let me step back to 2001 for a second. September 11th, 2001. We went in Iraq in 2002, early 2002, and we fired 2.5 million rounds of uranium-238, dirty bombs, into Iraq's homes, buses, hospitals, food distribution places, into their farmland. And this is chunks of uranium ionized, gone through the chain reaction, into the people, everybody's house, every freaking house in Iraq and Afghanistan. By the way, you got 5 million orphans there now, thanks to the 11,000 Taliban that are created and funded and organized and controlled by the military industrial complexes, because they got to have a boogeyman. 11,000, right? To get, and then you shot all that depleted uranium over there. And so the Abrams tank is shooting 10 pounds uranium-238. It's not tipped, it's not coated. When it's going through the air, it's pyroplastic, it's burning off, it's releasing radioactive atoms. Remember, a gram will release more atoms than all the grains of sands and all the beaches on the planet. What's 10 pounds of it going through the air on fire, releasing these atoms, and when it hits a target, it sprays chunks of the uranium-238 that's contaminated americium, neptunium, plutoniums, and everything else all over the community. But those chunks are releasing, because they've been through the chain reaction, are releasing the neutrons and the X-rays and the gammas and betas alphas that are extraordinarily more dangerous than everything put together. That's what I mean when I say nuclear Earth. That's what I mean by the title of this. All these releases, all these accidents, these are accumulative, because the radiation that they tell you about, like iodine with an 8-day half-life. By the way, half-life is times 10, so it's 80 days. And then, so everything is 100 years for the cesiums and the strontiums, uraniums, billions of years, plutoniums, tens of thousands of years, 250,000 years when you multiply the half-lives. And so then all the bomb testing, these are different types of radioactive materials too. Then the hot coriums that are at Fukushima, or the Max Fuel at the facility in Sellafield, England, or the stuff that's released into the upper troposphere and upper stratosphere. And there was a lot, like 500, 300. I know the Americans, what was it, 399 or something? I can't remember. Don't quote me on that particular number. The hell was the number? Anybody? Anyway, in the upper atmosphere I'm talking about, they detonated. Well, that radioactive fallout, that radioactive fallout took a couple of decades to work its way down. And so to keep it in the context for you, yeah? You got 90,000 big container ships on the ocean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They got these big bunker burning engines. Now, bunker fuel is left over from the petroleum production. And it's supposed to be $1,800 a ton to keep it on a toxic waste site. But your loving governments colluded and allows these bunker burning ships to burn it. And so 16 of these ships produce more pollution than all the cars on the planet. You can look up that headline: 16 container ships produce more pollution than all the automobiles on the planet combined. So what's 90,000? That's 42 trillion people driving automobiles 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the planet. They're going to demonize you for your tin cans, your pop bottles, and your freaking plastic to keep you off balance and keep you subservient, and to herd you into this Agenda 21 where they can just feed you GMO and destroy you. And once again, back to the GMO, let me flip again. The GMO doesn't let you take nutrients. They engineered all the nutrients out, all the macronutrients and minerals out of it. All the potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, carbon, cobalt. And then they left little tiny parts per million. And then they engineered in dioxins and toxins in 5 of those. I just wanted to get that out there because that's important. That everybody, if you happen to just ever watch one of my videos, you'll get all of this anyway. And so if you watch 3 or 4, it's probably enough for anybody. The rest of it's just for fun for people, I'm sure. Or just support, or just because they want to make sure that they get it right. January 15, 2003, Bridgman, Michigan, USA, fault in the main transformer at Donald C. Cook nuclear power plant caused a fire that damaged the main generator and the backup turbines. And you can't believe anything they say to you because they switch hands all the time. They're playing this shell game where they show you and tell you one thing, and then they're over there mutilating the farmer's field. And then the other ones are out there saying, hey, it's UFO. And somebody else is trying to say, I think there was a nuclear power release, or a whistleblower is trying to speak out. He can't get any traction because, that was UFOs, man. Right? You can't talk to anybody that falls down that path, right? And let me keep going. 37 minutes. I wasted the first 13 minutes. It wasn't too bad, though, but because we kept getting kicked off. Let me keep going here. 9th of August 2004, Mihama, Japan, Mihama. Steam explosion at Mihama's 3 station. Investigation revealed a serious lack in systematic inspections in the Japanese nuclear plants, with an S, which led to a massive inspection program. So the Yakuza's are running most of the nuclear power plants in Japan. The mob. And they're hiring people who can't read or write right now. 3 times. Kicked off again. We are not receiving your data. No, that was like 10, 12 seconds. There you go. It's back. Let me keep going. See, that takes me right off. I'll come out tomorrow night with a lower stream. I don't know what's going on. I should not be getting kicked off my stream. That's impossible. I got a huge bandwidth. It's stupid. And now my video is stalling. Let me refresh. That's rough. Yeah, we'll keep going. Here we go. Make sure I'm back up and running. Oops, freezing again. Is it back? I'll just hang on and wait for you guys' comments. Make sure I'm back. Oh, let me see what I'm saying now. Oh, I got no audio. Comments are frozen. Video's moving. That's freezing. I'm getting kicked off. Ugh. Let me get a few more in here. Let's try one more time. Hang on, we're almost there. I mean, Yakuza's are running most of the nuclear power plants in Japan. So, like, I'm at least a minute and a half behind on my stream. No comments. Comments are unavailable. Hang on, folks. Make sure I get this. Make sure I'm actually streaming. 40 minutes. One of those nights. Here we go. Okay. Here we go again. James, Patrick, Sean, Grandma Golly, Hailey, Stacy, Sinjin 001. Sylvia, what happens if everything we get a blast from the sun and everything goes down at once? Yeah, well, all the nuclear plants will go down 2 weeks later, right? We're all screwed. Nuts for art. That's why we got to fight back now. Sylvia. Hi, everybody. Indie Pony. Hi there. Irinarel. David. Mr. I Can See Too. Cats. Original Punisher. Megan Rice. Hugs from Megan Rice. Hi, Kate. Yeah, thank you, Kate. James. MSVS. Echo, echo, echo. You probably got another window open there. David E. Ed DePriest. Yeah, okay, well, here we go again then. Miss Milky. Miss Milky, Missing Skies got a really good video by the sounds of it. Missing Skies putting up lots of good videos, folks. 101, you'll find links below. Stacy. Okay, here we go. Let's get another 15 minutes in. It's okay. It's alright. And there's only showing 10 people watching my video. I'm sure there's more than that there. Google done a bunch of updates. And my subscriptions don't update anymore. And my last couple of videos, in the videos inside the video, there's no comments. It shows no comments. I got to click on the video. Go to the video. Go down. Then you see the comments. Thanks, Google. 16th of May 2004, France. Substandard electrical cables at the Catalan 2 nuclear reactor caused a fire, blah, 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 damaged safety systems. You had Alexander Levinko, the death of a dissident, December 25th, 2012. Oh, that should have been up a little higher. The 19th of April 2005, Sellafield, UK. 20 tons of uranium and 160 kilograms of plutonium leaked from a cracked pipe to nuclear fuel reprocessing plant. 20 tons of uranium. So a gram of it produces more plutonium, more radioactive atoms than all the grains of sands on all the beaches on the planet. So if you had think about a corium, a melted down core, like the 3 melted cores at Fukushima that nobody knows where they're to. Nobody freaking knows. Nobody's seen it. Nobody will ever see it in their lifetime. Nobody alive right now will ever see those cores. We might never see those cores. But all the dirt that falls down to it and all those particles that are coming up, they're radioactive. So it's not just the isotopes. It's not just the creation of the the isotopes from the rods themselves. It's the fact that the cores will produce radioactive particles, and they're atoms too. But they're originally particles. They never started off as your typical element, like uranium and plutonium, right? But because they ended up there, they were ingested and sucked into these 9,000 degree Fahrenheit hot coriums. Because that's what's going on, okay? We've covered this extensively on this site. June the 16th, 2005, Illinois, USA. Exxon's Braywood nuclear station leaks tritium and contaminates local water supplies. So that means all the pipes coming in your houses are contaminated too, see? Yeah? The toilet coming in your house is contaminated too. And it's just a cumulative, constant, all these accidents. It's just unrelenting. And what we're talking about, what we've covered in Nuclear Earth series and volumes, is just a tiny fraction. This was the stuff that finally made it out. It's just a fraction of what they done. And so there's a big, massive, already accumulation, not counting Fukushima. And I'll cover Fukushima at the end here a little bit more. But August the 4th, 2005, New York, Entergy's Indian Point Energy Center nuclear plant leaked tritium and strontium into the underground lakes from 1974 to 2005. 84, 94, 2004. Almost 30 friggin' years into your water and your aquifers. They're just demented. The industry is truly demented. It's friggin' demented. You know, injecting pregnant women with radioactive materials. Like 860, was it, at one hospital? That was Stanford was involved in that. Not to mention the mental institutions. Not to mention the military dummies that were told to get up and run towards the nuclear bomb testing. And all the people that lived in the area, you know, when they detonate these nuclear bombs, you're leaving fission product right there underground. Right? It's fusing with the ground, with the rocks, with the sand. Fission products. Don't tell McAllister bomb manufacturer to run the fuck down there and get that, make some more dirty bombs to send down to Afghanistan and Iraq. Right? Iraq, man, for 11,000 Taliban, you got 5 million orphans in Iraq, in Afghanistan. You got millions missing in Iraq. You got millions dead. You got millions in refugee camps. You got 29,000 rapes reported every year in the military. 29,000 155 millimeter rounds into Gaza that don't even got bomb shelters. It's easy to go beat up on somebody when they don't got tanks or jet fighters or battleships or budgets, right? It's easy to beat up on those people when you got 5 million of them in refugee camps. You know, you don't have to be something special to do something like that when you got the sixth biggest weapon producer on the planet doing it to them. But the whole industry is like that. They're just a bad example or a good example of how evil works. But the system, most people are not that blatant, right? They're doing it, but they're not that blatant about it, where they just don't care. But what's really going on is that the nuclear industry has released so much material just from, you know, the testing into the environment. Just from like the nuclear bombs in Alaska, 40 a year. And at the same time, they were making documentaries saying you got to watch out, the Ruskies are going to drop one. And if you do, you're going to have all this fallout coming right across your country. And it's going to come right across your country. And you better listen to us. At the same time, on the same days, probably, they were doing nuclear testing in Alaska and Nevada. Or New Mexico. And they were detonating under the ground at New Mexico, Carlsbad. By the way. Yeah, I've been on this, like, I got over 100 declassified nuclear documentaries. Or not, you know, just to, these are declassified, these are not for our, these were for education amongst the military and everything else, the government. And that's been, like, I've been watching that non-stop now for almost 7 days. It's friggin' fascinating how evil these people actually are. I mean, you know, they're an evil collective. It's a collective of evilness. And they conspire together to hide the information. It's shocking how they changed the language over the last couple of decades from Rochichins and Rankins and Rims and everything else, right, to Sievers and millisievers. And they obfuscate it by doing this, where they equate bananas with man-made radioactive isotopes. They equate potato chips with man-made radioactive. Which this is, when you hear that, that's the most evilest person you can imagine. Because they're educated and they know what they're saying is an outright fabrication. They're doing that to win some favors. It's like Japan saying they got it under control and they're after Shanghai and homeless off the streets. It's an utter mockery. March 6, 2006, Irwin, Tennessee, USA, nuclear fuel services plant spills 35 liters of highly enriched uranium, necessitating a 7-month shutdown. It's endless, the accidents that they're having. This is what they told you. It was most likely thousands of times more than that. The chances of it just being that is benign. It's unrealistic that they told you the truth. It's impossible because they've never told you the truth in anything else. How can a banana be equal to ingesting radioactive hot particles? It looks like I didn't put this one in order. Let me jump one. No. Let me see what I got here. They say North Korea tested a kiloton in 2009, 25th. And then the 12th of February 2013 was another test. And October 2006, they would conduct a nuclear test. And let me keep going here. Because, like, to me, North Korea is a man-made situation. We've created that situation. If everybody was attacking you, and your people in your country were just going for the easy money and willing to give up the sovereignty of their country, you probably would. I'm not apologizing for the misery. There's 27,000 children dying every day of dysentery, diarrhea, and pneumonia, and I'm not talking about North Korea. You know, you created 5 million orphans in Afghanistan. That's equal to a large chunk of the population in Korea. You marginalized and enslaved the entire planet. You got millions in refugee camps in Iraq. For what? You shot depleted uranium through everybody's homes, through their farmland, into their water supply, into their schools and their distribution centers, into everybody's home, into family cars. Dirty bombs. Each one of those bullets, 2.5 million a month from McAllister's bomb manufacturing. We got nothing to be proud of. Unless we try to eradicate some of this now. That's the only thing we could actually be proud of, is trying to eradicate this, stop this, and flip this for the good. Trying to find a way to flip this for the better. The 16th of July 2007, Kashiwazaki, Japan. A severe earthquake measuring 6.8 on the Richter scale. Right? There's severe earthquakes when they... But now they had a 7.5 on October 25th, 2013 in Japan. They said there was nothing to it. And then just 2 weeks before that, there was the same size in the Philippines, and it wrecked 300,000 homes. Right? And so then they have one off Fukushima, and there's nothing to worry about, and they do an internet blackout and martial law. Japan's on a martial law, by the way. But anyway, Kashiwazaki, Japan, 16th July... The Tokyo Electric Kariwa nuclear power plant is located, and radioactive water spilled into the Sea of Japan. As of March 2009, all of those reactors remain shut down for damage verification and repairs. It had 7 reactors. It was the largest single nuclear power station in the world. Not even a 7.0 earthquake. Japan gets between 1,000 and 5,000 earthquakes a year. Why is it there? Why are we building these things when we know we can't contain it? Because just what they call a spent fuel pool, will cook you. You know, if you picked up a piece the size it is, the neutrons from this right here, I'm dead. I might not die this second, but I'll be dead in a few days or a week or so. Because I absorb so much. I'm so close to it, right? It just bathed me. That's all you need. That's the whole problem with this. Like, you think about those machines that were giving people a fatal dose when they were getting radiation treatment instead of get a fatal dose. Well, you can do that to everybody on the planet with a few of these machines if you can get them to sit still there. Just give them, here, sit here for a second, give you a fatal dose, take care. That's how frigged up this shit is. But they always equate it with bananas, right? I mean, if you've done it in front of me, I smack them right in the mouth. I'd smack them right with the open palm of my hand because I couldn't stop myself. Because I was being lied to by a creature. They're not human in my eyes when they do stuff like that. They cease being humans. To be human is not to come out and lie and destroy everybody for a paycheck. That's not a fucking human. That's trash. That's scum of the earth. That's to be rooted out and dealt with. You don't shy away from it. You don't ignore it. You friggin' deal with it. Right? That's why we come in, we bash Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution all the time It's because these are very bad people. They have no intentions of telling you the truth. And like the MIT video last night, his wife's family was from outside Fukushima, and he was compelled. And out of everybody there, he was the guy who told the story, but he hemmed and hawed so much. I chopped that video up to get the story for you. And the hesitation in a lot of these people. Look at the Harvard the night before, or look at that doctor, I can't remember his name. You can see him with his head down, very solemn, very low voice, keeps his eyes down. He doesn't look to the side. He's very reserved, saying we have detonation, we have an explosion, we have meltdowns, we have a crisis, we have spent fuel pools. I mean, they come out and told the whole fucking story. And the media can't say, well, here's Harvard, and here's Yale saying the story, and here's MIT, and here's Stanford. But I'm a conspiracy theorist, no matter who I use. Even if I use the best institution that everybody calls the best institution, which got a history of using nuclear materials, experiments on humans and animals for its entire duration that has been there. So all these, like Stanford is the worst one out there. It's friggin' sickening what they do. They experiment on prisoners, on children, on disabled, on vulnerable, senior citizen homes. Come on down, we give you some checkup for your health. Here's some isotopes, have a nice day. We'll dig up your corpse on another day, and we'll test it for radiation. And we won't even ask your family. The arrogance of the industry knows no limits. It feels like it's entitled, like it has immunity. It doesn't. The nuclear industry is dead. It's fucking dead. Everything about it. Your pensions for the nuclear industry, good luck, you're not getting them. We'll be having war crime tribunals for you fuckers in the next few years. No one's ever going to forget you. No one's ever going to forgive you. Nobody even fucking cares about you outside of that. We do something with you to make sure you don't fuck up this planet ever again. The nuclear industry is history. It's the most evil thing imaginable. It knows no bounds. Right now, every day, it's hemorrhaging into the Pacific Ocean 300 to 600 tons. That's the equivalent of 1,000 pounds of dye in a 4,000-mile river. Every minute, 1,440 trucks a day in your river for over 3 years of radioactive dye that doesn't dissipate for hundreds of years. You get in a plane, fly 4,000 miles down that river. 3 years later, 1,440 trucks a day, every minute, 1,000 pounds of dye going in that river. Where do you think the dye is going to not be when you go down that 4,000-mile river by a plane or a satellite? It's going to be all the way down in the ocean, right? Well, that's what's going on at Fukushima from 3 melted reactors. And you're talking about MOX fuel. MOX, 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. And then the whole industry is out, oh, it's like bananas. Oh, it's like potatoes. It's like walking in the sunshine. I would hit you so hard I would knock the teeth out of your mouth with the palm of my hand, I can assure you. If I was sat down, you said that to me. And that's the problem. The media won't even fact check what they're saying. The media puts them out there. But if I say something, the media will come out and fact check and try to destroy me. But if they say bananas, the media says, not all vegetables are good. Over and over and over. But they'll come out and try to discredit me. But you can't, because I'm not a conspiracist, I'm a researcher. I can go down a conspiracy road if I wanted to. But this is real, tangible, and you can't muddle the water when you're talking about this stuff. I can't say, oh, it's like a banana, because it's not. I can't say it's like walking in the sunshine, because it's not. I can't say it's like the radioactive material in my drinking water. I can now, because the EPA has now said that 7,400 becquerels a cubic meter of man-made that never existed before radioactive isotope cesium-137 is a standard in your drinking water. But it's not. And if I was to show them a swimming pool with 7,400 becquerels a cubic meter of cesium in it right now, they would shit themselves. Ken Buser was out there testing the water. He says, oh, I can only find a becquerel. Well, how the fuck did the EPA get 7,400 becquerels? if he can only find a Becquerel. It's because Ken's not looking. Ken's an outrageous, outright lawyer for the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. We've called him out repeatedly. And 7,400 Becquerels is, they're talking about strontium and uranium, plutoniums and everything else. But they always call it cesium. Right? Originally they said, oh, there's iodine coming. There's 300 times background radiation of iodine reported here in Canada, right? You know, there's links below of Health Canada. Flying along the coastline, there was a big plume that lingered over this coastline for months of invisible snowstorm radiation, hot particles. There's a headline out there, they finally found the cores of Fukushima from Fukushima's reactors. They're all over fucking Japan. They atomized and aerosoled and were whisked all over the country, right across the Pacific Ocean in jet streams at 100 miles an hour, 2,400 miles a day in 24 hours. You can do the math. So just a few days and it made its way over here, just like the Asian Trans-Pacific Air Pollution Studies. And I know I stopped and I switched her at the end of it, and that's okay too. But I got to save some, because I got a lot there for volume 7. Will be the last volume of Nuclear Earth. And so I went a little slow tonight. That's okay. We were slow getting off. We got kicked offline repeatedly. That's okay. And let me close this one down. Oh, no, I can't. I'll come in and say goodnight to everybody. We're at the 1 hour, 1 minute mark. Damn it. As usual, I end up going an extra couple of minutes. Throw that shit away. Hang on a bit. Okay, good night, folks. I gotta save some, because I got a lot there for volume 7. I gotta get the volume to stop. Hang on, there we go. Sergeant, good night, Spider Guy, Stacy, Grandma Goalie, MSVS, Amthurs, hi, Nuber Magic. Nuber Magic said, I started smoking and drinking and eating good food lately. Yeah, there you go. Okay, folks, Starlight. Don't send me so many emails only unless you're trying to talk to me, okay? I can't keep up with it. I just can't keep up with it. You can send me emails if you're trying to talk to me, but just don't send me all kinds of junk or whatever. Not necessarily junk. It's just I can't keep up with it, and I just can't keep up what I got going on now. If you're gonna flood me, right, that's caused me a lot of grief. Hi, Kate. I know you're not doing it on purpose. I'm just saying I can't keep up with it. I'm barely keeping up with what I'm doing now. It's just, you know, I'm organizing. We're still not in the studio. We got the back piece of it rented last week. So we're doing renovations out there. And I can't tell you why, because that'll give the whole game away. But all things are coming along. You just have to trust in me, is all I can say on that one. It's coming soon. And I'm looking forward to it finally starting, because I'm worn out trying to get it all. I'm going to, break the bank doing what I'm doing, but I'll get it. And then we'll take it from there after. It'll be okay. Yeah, I'm frozen again. Who knows what's going on? We'll catch everybody after. I'll come in and read the comments. I'll work it out that way probably, like I normally do. Red Button Studio, Arinaril, Kate. Good night, Kate. And everybody else, we'll catch you folks tomorrow. Don B, Miss Milky, thanks Miss Milky. Monterey's, James Beck, Mr. I Can See, I Can't Keep. Let me say hi to Ed Dupree, Bill Wallace, David, Megan Rice, Hugs, Solar Mechanic, Lee, Adam, Spider, Monterey. Let's see if anybody didn't say hi to. Toxic. And who else didn't I get to say, I wonder? Yeah, there we go. Okay, folks, we'll catch you. Don't forget, Kate has the chat room, Fukushima Hounds. I haven't made it over in the last week, but I'm getting there. And hopefully I can start doing that. Ideally, I like to use the Fukushima Hounds to start putting pictures up there and stuff like that. And I'll get there. I'm getting there. But, you know, it's not about me. It's about you folks doing it, right? And so I'll fit in at some point. Well, I'll catch you folks tomorrow. I'm going to be doing another live stream tomorrow night. I don't see no reason why I won't show up tomorrow night. And tomorrow night will be about Fukushima. And